I want to bring Tony Jones in, former associate basketball coach for the University of Tennessee. So, Tony, thanks for the time, buddy. You know, I always appreciate it. I think you throw heat.
No problem. It's all good, babe.
Okay. Tell me which one's better. I'm going to do, I dropped the phone. There we go. I'm going to do a Ed Orgeron and Jerry Green impression. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is during defensive line drills when I walk onto the field and Ed Orgeron is working with his players, right? Not the time to typically talk to somebody. Would you agree with that?
Exactly.
And there's more important things going on. He used to go, "What's up, Hook?" That's the way you say it. And then I've got my Jerry Green impression if you want to hear that. Well,
let me hear it.
Yeah. Well, I don't play golf during the season. That's pretty good.
You know what? I like the Ed Orgeron better because me and Ed was really good friends when he was an assistant here at Tennessee under Lane Kiffin, and we were still on the heel end, and I got to know Ed really well, and he cracked me up, especially when he used to do some of his pregame speeches before Lane walked in. It was classic, man, the way they did things.
Tony, you don't have to.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just have to jump in since you said that. Tony, you don't have to snitch at all on anything, but just tell me, is he or is he not living his best life in Destin right now?
Oh, he's living his best life in Destin. Hey, baby, I ain't got to do a doggone thing. I'm still getting paid all this money.
Yeah. What's up, honey? That's what he's doing right now. My favorite Ed Orgeron story is we broke up the coaches and we all did feature stories on them. And I sat down and interviewed him for an hour, and 45 minutes he told me great personal stuff, and then he said, "Oh, you can't use any of that." I'm like, I thought we were all on the record. And he goes, "Nope, just football." I'm like, Dad. It would have been award winning. I'm not bragging, but it would have been. Tony Jones, what do you make of this Tennessee basketball team? Let's just get it rolling. They seem pretty good to me.
Good basketball team. Hey, they're in the juggernaut of a conference. In my estimation, the best conference in my lifetime that I've seen. I think even surpassing back in the day that Big East conference that got 3 teams in the Final Four. Back when Villanova, Georgetown, and who was up? St. John's with Louis Conner-Sicca got into the Final Four. But 6 games, all of them in conference. Maybe 1 or 2, was questionable. But as you look at the way things played out, Vandy is good. So that wasn't a really terrible loss because Vandy been beating people. Obviously, Ole Miss has been beating people. Florida has been beating people. So it goes on down the line. But to finish 4th in this unbelievable conference, I say it's not where you want to be. You want to win the conference, but it's not too shabby either.
Tony, I want to ask about a couple of players real quick because there's a few trends I've noticed towards the end of the season, and I want to know if you which one stands out to you the most. But a few of the trends are, looks like Chaz Lanier has picked his scoring back up from where it was at the beginning of the year, and Jordan Gainey has all of a sudden become a regular offensive force off the bench. Which one stands out to you of those two?
Jordan Gainey. Obviously Chaz, I was at the game for senior day. It was very emotional for 6 of those kids, potentially being their last game. Who knows? They may grant another year to some of these guys. It would be crazy, but refreshing if they do. But Gainey is a 6 starter. He's been consistent all year. He's playing close to 30 minutes a game. He's knocking down shots, and he's become a better defender. Last year you would say that he was a liability out there on the court defensively. This year, he's been able to guard his yard, and obviously we know what he's done on the offensive end, being the number one contributor off the bench. I know what you're saying about Chaz. Chaz scored 23 points in the game against South Carolina. I think he scored 17, 15 against Ole Miss. Going to need both of those guys to be productive on the offensive end if we're going to advance in the SEC tournament and then in the big boy tournament, the NCAA.
I want to ask you about two guys as well. Jemai Mashack, I didn't realize this until just now. He received the University of Tennessee's highest student honor, and that's the Torchbearer Award. That's not just an athlete. That's across the board. So that's really impressive. And he was named the Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC. So as we look back, this was by Field of 68. I don't know what website that is, but
they named him National Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, National Defensive. Okay.
Wow.
As we look back, who was more important to this team, Mashack or Zakai Ziegler?
Zakai Ziegler. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, he's the strong. He's the guy.
I think we lost Tony.
We'll get him back. Jemai Mashack. Yeah, I was given the Torchbearer Award, the Tennessee's highest honor. I think Cooper Mays won that as well, Caleb, which is pretty strong. Let's see if we can bring Tony back. Do we have Tony back? We got a black screen.
Tony, you're still breaking up.
Well, let's see if we can. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to drop Tony, and then we'll bring him back, and then we'll see if we can get him back. But do you think it's debatable between Mashack and Ziegler?
I think Mashack is, and looks like we got Tony here, and I want to hear what Tony has to say about this when I bring him in. But, well, actually, Tony, we got you back now. What were you saying about Mashack versus Ziegler? Sorry.
There's the drink. He's been using on a TV show I do every Sunday about points in the paint. And a lot of those points is downhill drives by Zakai. And then obviously we know what he's done on the defensive end also. He's been first team, all defensive and things of that nature. Mashack is just been stellar on the defensive end. He should be rewarded with that type of recognition. And more importantly, I've gotten to know both of these kids, two solid individuals, man. A credit to the University of Tennessee program.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Tony, I wanted to ask, are there two players that you've ever seen exemplify what Rick Barnes wants in kids more than Jemai Mashack and Zakai Ziegler? They seem like literally vintage Rick Barnes players, don't they?
Old school. Rick is his signature is defense. You know, you're gonna get out there and you're gonna play hard. You're gonna get after people. You're gonna try and out tough people. We're gonna get second chance opportunities. Going to the offensive glass. That's what he's all about. And especially on the defensive end, both of those guys exemplify the type of personality that Rick tries to represent.
Is a great defensive player born or made?
Made. They're not born because I just think you have to develop that mentality. I think that mentality is developed, and it can go from an intervention occurring in your life where something happens where you have to just be tough than the other man, or it just happens to be something that a mentor has instilled in you, and you don't want to let that mentor down. You want to be able to do what he asks you to do each and every time he asks you to do it.
So, Tony, thinking about this, Chaz Lanier, what he did on Saturday kind of reminds me of something that you guys worked with. Is one of the most underrated coaching things I think I ever saw was what you guys did with Chris Lofton from a sophomore to his junior year. And I distinctly remember the game. It was y'all played Memphis at Thompson Bowling Arena, and y'all basically told Chris Lofton, you got to put the ball on the floor every time. And rather than shoot the three, he basically dropped, I think it was like 33 points in a blowout win because he just kept driving to the basket. I'm seeing finally Chaz Lanier start to do that in like the last 2 weeks of the season. Do you see kind of a similar kind of development that you saw with Chris Lofton from a sophomore to his junior year when you were coaching him?
Go, that's you going way back there, Caleb. And you know what? Actually, I remember that game against Memphis. We blew them out that game, and Chris was taking it to the basket, and he possessed that ability to do that. Chaz has Chaz has that ability also. We call it in the coaching lingo as settling. Don't settle for the jump shot all the time. It's easy. The path of least resistance is sometimes just to shoot the jump shot. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of moxie to drive the ball to the basket. And I think the coaching staff at UT is really telling him, hey, don't be a one-dimensional player. People are top covering him. They're running at him. Hey, shot fake, get to the basket. His handle is tight enough where he's not getting stripped and he can pull up or he can get all the way to the basket, and he's a above average athlete to finish over big guys at the rim.
I'm going to ask you a question. It was about a column I wrote today, and there was a year that I thought you guys got a lower seed than you should have. But I came up with 3 instances off the top of my head where I felt like Tennessee didn't get the respect from the NCAA selection committee. Am I wrong on that, or would you agree with that?
No, I agree with it wholeheartedly. The one year when we beat Memphis and we were number 1 in the country, there's no way North Carolina should have got that number 1 seed over us. It put us in a difficult position as a number 2 seed. We had to go play Louisville, which was not a good matchup for us because they had 6'5", 6'6" perimeter guys that can really defend Juwan Smith, Chris Lofton, and Ramar Smith, and it just wasn't a good matchup for us. So I think we kind of got it didn't work out for us. Let me put it like that. I don't want to use another term.
Right. Why is that? Is the SEC viewed as a football conference? Is Tennessee viewed as a football school? Why do you think that might be?
I just think we just got out hustled by the Bluebirds in that instance, and I talked to Bruce Pearl over the weekend, and I was like, man, let's hope we can do something in the SEC tournament, win that tournament, you or Tennessee, because if Duke wins the ACC tournament, a blue blood, they're going to try and put them as the number 1 overall seed.
Yep, I totally agree with that. But Tony, part of it, and you mentioned it with Louisville, is it wasn't just being a number 2 seed. It was a really bad matchup that y'all had as a number 2 seed in that year. What are your thoughts on, if you're Tennessee, would you rather be the number 1 seed out in San Francisco or the number 2 seed in Atlanta where your fans can get to the game? Because that's probably where it's a debate at this point.
No, I'd rather be the number 2 seed in Atlanta where my fans can get to the game. That's what's most important. It was 2.5, 3 hours from downtown Knoxville to downtown Atlanta. So I'd rather be in Atlanta. Obviously, and this has been bared out a number of really talented, not as many talented teams, and advance through that region. I think official.
Good stuff, Tony, as always. Former associate head basketball coach at the university. I think we got him back. I want to ask. Okay, I want to ask a weird question. A lot of these players, well, none of these players were born when Rick Barnes started his career. But do you think they're aware of his shortcomings in the tournament? And if so, is that a good pressure or can that be a bad pressure? I think he's a good pressure there. Let's see if we can bring you back one more time because I do want to hear this. Okay.
Back.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good pressure. They want these kids right now. They want to put themselves on center stage. They want to be the hero or the GOAT. So they want the pressure on them so they can see, just what they could do under pressure situations. I mean, I know a lot of these guys. I talk to them. I interview them a lot of times, and all those guys are really staunch competitors.
Tony, great stuff. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon, man. It's tourney time.
No question. I'm waiting
We're breaking up a little bit there, but Tony, is it good pressure or bad pressure, Caleb, in your mind?
I mean, I think it can be good. Honestly, that's one that I don't think affects the players' heads at all. I mean, now I will say maybe they want to get a ring for Rick Barnes before he retires. I mean, I think they genuinely love Rick Barnes, and you know this with players and how much they love Rick Barnes.